good morning, and welcome to another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. You will note this morning we don't have an introductory theme. The theme, we have some issues, and therefore there's no introductory theme. But we are here, as you know, we have said repeatedly, come rain, comes whatever it is, nothing's going to stop us from meeting with you on a Wednesday at 11 o'clock to discuss issues. So what we're going to do, let's give others the time to join. While I say welcome to you for this episode, it's today, October the 19th, 2022. Share the live. You see it scrolling across there. Share the live. Let people know that we are on. My colleague is already in the studio, just waiting. So welcome to those of you, those early boards. Look, I got a feeling that people, the early boards have a competition to be here, you know. At the first person, let me say welcome. The first person is Yolandaya. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. Yolandaya from Queens. You made it to class first this morning. You came on at 10:27. And then Natasha D was second at 10:31. Vibor, to know you'll be disappointed to know that you came third this morning at 10:33. And Dudley, you were the number 4 man at 10:47. But these are the regulars who are always here early to class. So welcome one and all. I noticed my squaddy Doreen, welcome from Canada in the house. Francis is here. Derek, old President Guard, Derek. I think Derek was a President Guard, and Derek spent some time at the training school. Derek, welcome. Lenny, the dancing instructor in the house from Brooklyn. Welcome, Lenny Yvonne. We have Simone here, ready and waiting. Wayne, Nadira, Parmanan. Welcome to you all. Share the live. Let them know that we're here, ready and raring to go. Kanti, you're here. Welcome. And then we have Joan. Ulrich, you never fail, brother. You never fail. You're always here. Ulrich, I think you sigh of relief this morning. Imagine West Indies beat Zimbabwe. You got to celebrate these days, buddy. Things looking real thin. Scotland beat West Indies in the World Cup match. And then this morning they played Zimbabwe. Because we knew that if they had lost to Zimbabwe, that would have been it. They would have been out of the tournament. So they scrape home. They beat Zimbabwe. So for the West Indian and the followers and the supporters, you breathe a sigh of relief that West Indies won this morning. But they lost so badly in the first game. And so that they're still, let me tell you, I look at the stats. They are still at number 3 of the 4. They are number 3. So they're in a position where they must beat Ireland. They must beat Ireland in the next match. And I guess they have to beat them by a good margin to guarantee that they will progress to the round of 12. But that is where we are these days. You know, imagine West Indies beat Zimbabwe and this cause celebration. And we have to breathe a sigh of relief that we are still in the tournament. But that's the reality. That's the reality where we are. Raw C. Welcome. Another regular. Orin. Joan. Regular, welcome to Joan. Welcome to Rossi. Danette. Chris K. Welcome. Mark. Welcome. Winston. Welcome to you guys. Welcome. Share the live. Let them know that we're on. We are ready to go. As I've said, we don't have the theme this morning, the introductory theme, so I am taking some time to allow more persons to join. Ramesh, good morning to you too, Ramesh, good morning. Jakey, welcome, and good morning to you, Jakey, welcome to all you people. Emerson, welcome from Harlem, New York. Emerson, you know, when you look at the comments, we have Nigel from London in the house. We have people from London, Canada, all over the US, all over the Caribbean, Barbados, Antigua, St. Lucia, Jamaica. One of my regular listeners. We're very early in the Dudley, Jamaica. Welcome to you all. Welcome. And this is what encourages us to make sure that we're here to give you the information. Roy, welcome. Yes, I see that you're in the house. Roy, John, welcome in the house. My good friend from Essequibo, Abdon, welcome, my brother, welcome. Denise, you're late again this morning. I have to ask Elise and Lennox and Tasha and them to deal with you. You are late again this morning. You came on at 11:05, and I suspect that unless you have a good excuse, we are going to have you paraded and be dealt with. You can't be the secretary. You can't be such an integral part of this whole thing and be here. You're coming late. You got to come early so you go take notes. Melissa, welcome. Good thanks, welcome. Mark, welcome, Mark. So that is you're here. So welcome. Share the live. Share the live. Let people know that we are here. We are ready to go. You know, today is a good day. All days. Once you wake up and you are able to see a new day, it's a good day. It's a good day. We must give thanks and praise to the Almighty to allowing us to be here for the next day. And before we go further, let me tell you that you might hear a noise in the background. There's some construction work going on nearby. So I have no control over that. So that humming song that you might hear from time to time, please accept our apologies. Denise, you buy say already say 3 days pay. He not give you 3 days pay. Now in this hard guava season, 3 days pay is a lot of money, you know. 3 days pay is a lot of money. There he said she apologizing. She was listening to this decision of the CCJ. Now, what you listening? What you listening? Since yesterday the thing leaked, man. You know, last night. Since last night, the thing was leaked. And everybody knew. Well, those of us who follow social media and the news would have or since last night that the thing leaked. I can touch on that briefly. The FCC can talk about it briefly as we go now. You know, this is not about politics, but certain things you got to mention, not in a political context, but in the wider context. So share the live, Let them know that we're here. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And having said that, perhaps this is a good time for me to tell you that we have the word that two persons, well, one ex-police, I can't remember who the person was, but I got the message last week. Enid Wilson, I think they said that she was stationed at the special branch. She passed away recently. And last night we got the very sad news of the death of the mother of Isaiah Thomas. Before I go further, let me bring in CC to this live now. CC, welcome.
Thank you, Paul, and happy to be in the land of the living. And even the West Indies T20, the team is alive. Although the word death's door, you know.
Some people say barely alive.
But alive is alive. Whether they might be alien, but they were alive, and we want to wish them well. Paul, you mentioned about late for duty. I want to share a little story that significantly affected my career in the police force. In 1975, I was stationed at Myconi Police Station. I was a constable then, and we had a sergeant. I think I can call his name. He's there now. He was 4899 Brown. He knew station management well, and he used various methods to ensure that he get the best out of us. I can remember I had to work from 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon and 10 in the night to 2 in the morning. We had what we call 10 to 2 patrols. And we were required to patrol the district. We had one vehicle. Sometimes we never had the use of the vehicle, or the vehicle drop us somewhere and we had to walk or use bicycle. Not now where police are motorized. So I had a girlfriend in the Myconi branch, a beautiful girl. And I went there and spent some time. And then I reported for duty instead of 10:30. By then, the sergeant was at his desk. And he painted up the diary, booked me and read that I was late for duty. I went there in uniform, ready to work. So he said, late for duty. So I made another red ink entry. I reported sick, suffering from severe pains in the back. And the sergeant became annoyed. He said I was malingering and he's going to escort me to Dr. Harry Charan. So he went in his cupboard. In those days, they had a medical history book, those small little blue book. I don't know if they're still using them. So he collected the medical history book and the medical journal that we used to use when we go and see the doctor or when we take persons to see the doctor there. And the doctor used to get a pay, I think it's 90 cents for each person that they examine. And in them time, they sent that value. I think my salary then was $194 a month. So he took me to the doctor, escorted me, and he told the doctor that, look, this constable is lazy, he doesn't want to work, and he reported sick, and he went and stayed me up, you know. So I told him, I said, Dr. Hartran, I want to talk to you privately. So he said, Sergeant, please go outside. The sergeant went outside, and the doctor asked me, what happened with you and the sergeant? And I explained to him what happened. He said, okay, I'm going to give you some leave to cover you. So he asked me how much I want. I said, give me 7 days. So he writes 7 days sick leave. I said, please add in to be spent at home. So after I finished with the doctor, went outside, the sergeant was there. He said, what happened? I said, the doctor gave me 7 days leave. He said, well, you know, you got to spend it in the back room. I said, well, I obeying the doctor's order. Went back to the station, book in, returned from the doctor, and then I book out, left from my residence. I make sure I had all my entries. You know, there you get subject, serial number, reference number, entries. And I went to my residence, and the day before the sick leave expired, I went back to my Coney police station. And there it is. The next morning, I reported for duty. I reported at 5 o'clock. And the sergeant changed the timings for the patrol. Instead of 10 to 2, he bring it from 6 to 10, hoping that I would have torn up after 6 o'clock, as the case may be. But that event significantly affected my performance in the force, because I wanted to make sure after then that I was never late. I'm always on time. I'm always 15 minutes before the time. I remember later on doing management where they're saying that when you want to bring some person in line, you put they got seen them, as we say. You do something where you have significant emotional effect on them that they'd always remember that will be game changing. So I always remember that time when I reported sick and I was escorted to see the doctor. And there's it. The sergeant changed the duties, the timings of duties in order to catch me, but he didn't catch me. And as I grew up in the force, I always stick to time reporting early and making sure that my ranks do the same thing.
Thanks to that, CC. Thanks to that. I have a reputation of never being late. I have a reputation. I just can't handle this late thing. This tardiness is not in me. And let me say thanks to Emily. I think Emily is correcting me. I might have said Thomas when I meant the Henry boy mother. We got an dash on that briefly a while ago. But you made some significant points there when you talk about the way persons should report sick. And I know those regulations are still there. I remember very well. And I urge the policemen who are listening to it was Force Order 21 of 78, republished several times. It speaks about medical service and sick police, how you should operate if you are sick. And you're right, you had the medical history book. And let me give you a story about the medical history book of the TSU. The medical history book of the TSU used to be in a little cupboard just above where the sergeant sat in those days. And so when a rank reported sick, because you had to report sick by a particular time, unless it was an emergency, you had to report sick at a particular time. So ranks would come down around 5:30 and report sick. When you report sick, the early sergeant will take out your medical history book, which is a significant book still in the force. I don't know if they use it, right? So you take it down and you put it on the desk. And I think at 8 o'clock or whatever time it was, you had to be escorted to see the police sergeant. You have to be escorted. So what used to happen? Let me give you this is the part that I found very humorous. Now you remember the taking down the medical history book, and they're putting it on the desk. The other man, the older police, them boys, Raul and them will remember, or Rick will remember, Daco Cummins, 57908, Daco Cummins from TSU. Daco Cummins would come to work in the morning. The story goes, Daco came in there Saturday morning, because Saturday morning, especially if it's mountain, a lot of people jamming, reported sick. So when Daco looked, Daco walked into the inquiry's office and he told the diarist, book me reporting. And so the diarist, when Daco looked at him desk and saw all of those medical history books piled up there, he recognized that a lot of people sick, and it's gonna be difficult for him to fill all the posts this morning. So he will then turn to the diarist. He said, "Diarist, did you hear what I told you?" "Yes." "What did I tell you?" "You told me to book you reported." "Sick, you know, diarist. Sick reported." But the story is that the sergeant never used to marry chief. Daco with jam and left you with it, because in those days it was very stressful. Weekend men jump on you and you can't think. So the thing about the medical history book, and I think police don't use it now, but a very significant book, because in those days, if it came to a time when you wanted to, let's say, leave the job medically unfit, is the medical history book they used to use to say all your records were recorded in that book. And then you get a station medical journal. But it is still, according to the regulations, it is still an offense. I used to remember it very well. Failing to comply with orders issued by the Commissioner of Police, contrary to Section 4Y of the Police Discipline Act. Because it says that you have to report sick in a certain manner. It says that even when you're granted a sick leave by the police sergeant or a government medical officer, not any doctor. So even if you went to an ordinary doctor who was not a government medical officer, you have to take whatever leave was recommended to the government medical officer for it to be confirmed.
True.
And those things have not changed, in terms of the book. And then you have to fill out a leave form. You have to make sure that the leave form was filled out before you can proceed on sick leave. And you're correct, because it was said that, especially if you're unmarried, the sick leave was to be spent in the bar. That is, you have to be spent in the bar unless you were given specific permission to spend the sick leave. So, the funny thing, we talk over the years, we tell people about these things, we reminisce, and we tell people, but those things are still in the book, They haven't been repealed, they are not there, and the sad part about it is that some of these officers then use these things selectively. They use them selectively when they want to get at the ramp. Terence, you're saying, welcome, Terence, welcome. You're saying that you remember Daco. Anyone who served at the TSU in those days must remember Daco. Daco was a character at the TSU. DAKKO, Daco, Daco Cummins. Incidentally, Daco Cummins was the countryman. He was some BB, Sydney Cummins, Daco. So get a lot of laugh, a lot of joke about Daco that you have to tell at another time. So welcome. Yes, Ulrich, Dr. Wharton was the police sergeant at Brigham there. He's a man who was a chain smoker. He lit the cigarette and he never ate the cigarette for the ash to fall off. So he would get the cigarette in his mouth and that ash would not fall off that cigarette. So you have the cigarette part with the butt in his mouth and a long set of ash trailing the cigarette. That was Dr. Wharton. But let me tell you something more about Dr. Wharton as we are allowing more people to join. Dr. Wharton, we learned at the TSU very early. He's a man that used to get sick. If Dr. Wharton gave you 1 day or 2 days, you were considered lucky. Till we discover that Dr. Wharton was afraid, of course, you had mums. So you used to put something in your jaw, rub your jaw with a little Vaseline, and you walk in there. By the time Dr. Wharton see you, he stopped you right to the door. What's the problem? Say, you have mums. Or the nurse, Miriam Roberts was the nurse there. You tell him that this patient come with mums. He ain't allow you to go into the office too far. Right away, you get a 3, a 5, or a 7. So people came to recognize that, and that is how we dealt with Dr. Wharton. Well, you see, Rawl is saying here, Dr. Wharton, AK one day specialist. And Rawl, you're lucky to get it one day because Dr. Wharton will see you and you ain't get no day at all. You ain't get nothing at all. So, welcome to all those forces. I know last week I did mention that the my friend McRae, Adi, I haven't seen her on, but I'm sure she's watching, even though she might not have made a comment. Doreen is saying Tony Landon. I remember Tony Landon, the commander who smoked like that. And also Peter from the finance office, you know.
Yeah.
Alvin Peters on the finance office smoked like that too. They were heavy smokers, but the thing about them, that ash, I don't know how they did it, but they will continue to smoke and the ash would not drop. They continue like that. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, as I've said, sad news about the death of the mother of Isaiah Henry. I said Thomas indeed. Isaiah Thomas noted Isaiah Henry. Sad news last night at age 53, she took it and died. People are saying that grief is part of it because, you know, her son was killed brutally in September of 2020. And then another son is charged and currently before the court in relation to the Arish Singh murder. She too was arrested and in custody. So, you know, these things are, you know, all of these things have the effect. So, condolences to the relatives and friends and family of both Enid Wilson and Mrs. Thomas. Very, very, very sad. 53 years old, you know, 53 years old. Woman took in and died suddenly last night. But remember, God is in charge, you know. God is in charge. And we can do as much as we like, but not as long as we like. We can do as much as we like, but not as long as we like. So we hope that I have to say, rest in peace, Madam, and rise in glory. CC?
Yeah, Paul. And just to get back to that sergeant that I spoke about, he used to be on his desk 15 minutes before you report for duty. And when you report, he examine you. And he used to check the occurrence book, the crime book, and the message received book, and so forth, and see if there's any action to be taken. And then he would detail you specifically on those duties. And then when you come back, you have to report to him. That was real good supervision.
Yeah, but you know, and one of the things that irritates me in these days, when you have officers and inspectors and supervisory people apparently don't know what is going on. I was taught by Duncan Clark and other people as a young subordinate officer, especially when I became an officer, that when you go in the morning as the officer in charge of TSU, that was my first command. At the TSU, you go in the morning, you want to see the diary. You want to see the message received and the message sent books. And that, once you look at the diary, you see the message received and the message sent book at the TSU, that brought you up to date. And then we had what we call to the activity book, where ranks are sent out of town. And you go through those books in the diary, you see all who late, all the entries that were made in the diary. You look at the message received and the message sent book, and then you will see what messages came for people to attend court or to go someplace, and you were brought up to speed. But now you have people going to work in the morning, officers going to work in the morning, and then when they are questioned about something that happened perhaps during the night, they know, and the records are there, entries are there in the if you're at a station, either in the occurrence book, the crime book, the message received, sent book. Those are important things that you should check every morning when you go to duty. Go there, and all of the message book you check, you initial the book. Taught me that occurrence book to check, you initial. You look to see how many prisoners you have at Vietnam and elsewhere. Prisoner state every morning. The prisoner state, you insist. They have a return of all the prisoners that are in the lockup. When they came in, what are they there? What are they there for? A place like Brigham, for example, you'll have prisoners from several stations within the division, and even prisoners from out of the division. You as the commander, you as the OC number one at Brigham, you have to be abreast with these things. And I know Vibert is on the live here now, and Vibert was at one time my OC number one, and he know that he has to brief me on especially prisoner state, especially the prisoner state. I want to see who are the prisoners there, because what used to happen too is that the ranks from CID headquarters and those. Remember CID headquarters in those days, they got a little school in cell, they ain't got no lockup. So they bring the people that bring them and dump them there and forget them. And it's you, the commander, now on the line, because they're not going to ask CID headquarters why those ranks are there, or if people go to court, he was corpus or all of that. They're not going to ask. They're asking the commander of the division. The commander of the division, and tells you correct. At TSU, also check the arms book, because the arms book will give you an indication of what firearms are out and for how long they are out. But these things are there, but somehow, apparently, people don't check. And therefore a lot of things go on that they're not aware of. So I hope that they listen, and I hope that they take note of these bits and pieces of information that we're passing on. Let's see, moving on. Let me
Paul, let me just recap, because I think it's important that I knew that when you're in charge of the station or supplementary officer, you check. Let me mention some books: diary, occurrence book, crime book, message sent, message received, prisoners charge sheet, property book, and you mentioned the arms book. You might see a man 2 days ago, man, got out book out a weapon and then come back and this kind of thing. That those books are important, and those books helping you to manage your division and manage your subdivision.
Yes, CC, well said. So hope that they're listening. Come on, you're late, come on, you're late again. So you got to come with some good excuse for us to be lenient with you. So please share the live. Well, you're asking a good question. Dennis is asking the question, what happened to notified inspection? There was a commissioner some years ago, right? Well, so some years ago in recent times. Commissioner spent a couple of years as the commissioner chair. Never had a notified inspection. Never ever had a notified inspection. And there's a man who come now and he did on there. He's supposed to be the paragon of virtue and knowledge. He writing and talking a whole bunch of crap. The man never had a notified inspection, Dennis. Never in the 3-4 years, whatever time he was there as commissioner. And you're correct. Notified inspections, it is there in the police standing orders. Commander notified inspection, the commissioner notified inspection, and you have notified inspection, you prepare for those, and you have what is to be done at those inspections. You get the visiting book to be written up and signed, check arms. When Larry Lewis was commissioner of police, Larry Lewis became commissioner of police in 1990. I was a young assistant superintendent at the time. When Larry Lewis went on, I accompanied Larry Lewis on at least, I can recall, 3 notified inspections. 1 to Borbies, 1 to West Demerara, and 1 in Joshua. Notified inspection. He took me, I would go along as the man to check the firearms record. He would also walk with the armorer to check on the serviceability, the functionability of these firearms. He used to walk with Pito. Malvin Peters from finance, to check the financial records. And he had those people, Pablo Yewood, he walked with people, and while we going there and he doing the inspection and all this everything, we gone and we start to check Pito. I remember when Luknath Singh was commander of, I had taken over from Luknath Singh. Larry Lewis came and he did an inspection. When we went to Wales police station, now, even before we went to the station today, I got word from a source of mine in the village. So I said, Commander, something wrong. So I said, what do you mean? He said, the sergeant who was holding on there at the time was in the village borrowing money. So my source tell me, say, the man borrowing money, which is an indication that perhaps money missing, and he is borrowing money so that when the checks are done, we're going to find the money correct. I say, all right. So when we went to Wales police station, I told Pito, I said, Pito, check the financial records thoroughly. I hear the sergeant, 200 police. We don't call him name, I don't know if he's alive or not, but he had a reputation for interfering with government money. He was holding on. He was a corporal holding on. Said, Pito, check the record. Pito's check. When Pito come, Pito say, everything right. I say, all right, everything right. So Peter report, write up the books, all the financial thing, right? I gave like about a week. I gave him about a week, and I pick up my finance man was told by Beckles. I said, Beckles, let me go to Wales and check. Unannounced, I turn up on Wales. Now, when I turn up at Wales, the same corporal was handing over to Ali, my squaddy. Ali, I think he almost 94, 81. Buddy, CC, when I walk into this station and tell them that I'm there to do a check of the financial record, you see perspiration dropping out these men for like raindrops. Perspiration dropping out. I say, look, now we understand this thing clearly. I am here because I understand money missing. Y'all come clean. Ali loose up at the stage. Ali tell me, say, well, he just learned that the sergeant just telling me some money missing and so on. When Beckles check, he had how much $1,000 in them days missing, and the man was dealt with. But the man had contacts. He had contacts. So I don't think he lost the work for that. But that is how you operate as a commander. That is how you operate as a commander. Welcome, Adi. I did I see Adi is on here now. I did indicate that I know that you have been on the live. So welcome, welcome. So CC, these people got to understand these things. Being a commander, being a senior officer is not just sitting in the office and collecting perks and then doing nothing much. You have to be able, you have to go around, you have to know what is going on. And as Dennis pointed out, the notified inspections are prescribed in the police standing order. But I don't know if there's get notified inspection. CC?
I doubt. I can't remember when last I hear, but anything. But just getting back to the cash records. I think what we used to do is that first thing you go, let me see your daily cash composition book. You got it showed you got $50,000, gone straight to the safe. Show me the money, and then you begin from there.
Yeah, of course, you got to check. Yeah, you got to get the physical cash. And here, young officers, young who are here listening, police inspectors and officers, when you go to do check record, you don't ever let them just bring the money to you like that. I was a secretary for a board of inquiry when some things were missing from Brickdam some years ago. And Karachi Singh was the officer in charge of number 1 subdivision at Brickdam there. And there's a guy, I think King was his name, he was charged criminally because he had stolen a lot of money and exhibits and all of those things. And Karachi Singh got trouble because you know what they used to do? Break down property room. Karachi Singh sat in his office and told King was in charge of the property room. Right, bring your bail money. Let me see how much bail money you get. So the man carried the bail money and he would check the thing against the book. And then he would say, bring prisoner's property. And then the man used to recycle the money.
Recycle it.
Recycle the money. So the people say, you got to hold on for all the cash for us when you go to check. Let me see all your cash. All right, your cash is $100,000 or whatever it is. All right, then you're going to examine the books. Hold on the cash, because once you tell you bring prisoners money, and then they tell you, all right, go down and bring bail money and whatever, and extra duty money, it's cocky and get cocked. The man, the dishonest ones recycle, and that is exactly what happened to Karachi Singh. So, word of wisdom for these young officers, if you're going to check, I don't know if they just check now, but you got to make sure that is happened. Now, Yolanda asking me, let me ask CC, did you get beef?
No, I waited till Christmas time. No, too early, man.
Well, you said no too early, but apparently no, not too early for the police in Barbies. I was so embarrassed when I saw this thing. Policemen, now, and the story is, I'm sure most of our listeners and viewers would have seen this thing, where, according to the story, some minibus struck down a cow on the 19 public road. You know, 19 is a long stretch of public road when you left Palmyra until you get to just before Firish area there. The Bolam turn. So some minibus knocked down this cow. Apparently, it was more than one cow, and killed. So the story is there was some patrol that tell the man, look, take off the brand and take it to the station. Now people have asked why you tell you to take off the brand. I say, well, that is not unusual because that's the only way you can identify the owner of the animal. Because once the animal is struck down, nobody don't own it. right? So if you left it to go to the station, by the time you come back, the owner, if the owner knows, they're going to cut off the brand so that you can't pin it to them. So they were told to cut off the brand. So apparently he did that, and he went to the station to report this accident involving his vehicle. When the man come back, the story is when the man returned to the scene of this accident, his only guts. Well, look,
Yeah.
you gotta laugh. His only guts the man could find. No meat. And then somebody nearby showed them a video where the police patrol, a second police patrol, apparently the patrol comprised of 4 ranks. Them men get that machete. I mean, the police corporate communication, you don't say about machete, not machete, and not cutlash, because even there on the canteen, it's cutlash. Them men police take out cutlash, and they're being urged by whoever wrong, chop up all thing there. Them men chop up this meat. This thing is so unprofessional, so embarrassing. I understand they're all under close arrest in relation to this matter. Every day, police in the news for the wrong reason. Police in the news for the wrong reason. Police taking this meat, chop up the meat. Christmas come early. See, did you see it?
I saw it. I read the article, and the whole thing, the police procedure. The thing is that the carcass should go to the station. Normally, you photograph the brand. You call in a vet, let him examine it as the case may be.
To make sure it wasn't tampered with.
Yeah, you go to CRO and get a certified copy of the brand and this kind of thing. And you make arrangements, see if you can store the meat. Well, they said they destroy, get rotten out, but you preserve the skin. I remember we used to get the skin available with the brand so that you can give evidence in court, and then you used to charge the owner for suffering animal to stray.
Correct.
Maybe those things gone through the window again.
Correct, because I have worked on that area for a long time, and I could tell you that if an animal is struck down and it has no brand, nobody don't own it,
True.
Nobody don't own it because the seller is not nobody owned. So these things are so again, this thing is about leadership.
Yep.
This thing is about leadership because they can do that because they feel they can get away with it. Because had it not been for that man with the phone who took out, or the person with the phone, I don't know if it's a man or a woman, they would have denied. They would have denied. They would say nothing like that ever happened. But here it is, the video evidence to show. Police are chopping up, police turn butcher. Police turn butcher. Even saw the man chop up the thing, and apparently they're very versed in it because it would seem that they were able to cut up the whole cow in a very limited space of time. So, Lynette, you're right. Guide is not a real place. When you see this thing, guide is not a real place. Man, cut up this cow and let's hear what will happen. Selwyn, you're correct. It's a culture of lawlessness, and it pervades all levels of society. People just lawless. Policemen on patrol duty in uniform with protective clothing and all of that are there chopping up this animal, right? Chopping up this animal.
Well, I wonder if patrols had body cameras in them.
Well, body camera, there's a whole new issue because I remember them talking about body camera and all of that. And you may recall when we were doing this standing order review that they end up charging me for conspiracy to commit fraud. That is one of the issues we had addressed because the IT man Thomas came to us, and I was saying, and we were saying, that before you can even implement the use of body camera, you have to have a proper standing operation procedure and how the thing is to operate. And I don't think that was ever done, but for publicity and public relation reasons, they're to tell you about body camera. They're going to use body camera. That will be a waste of time if you don't have the mechanisms to ensure that it is properly dealt with. You must say in orders, standing order, what must happen, how it must be charged, what must happen when you return from duty, how the information it should be stored. All of those things have to be properly documented. All of those things have to be properly documented before you can say you're implementing those things. But a lot of these things, or these people are just big set of propaganda and so on. Denise, you're saying police got beef is $700 a pound. But Denise, I have a question to ask you. I have a question to ask you and Tasha and all of these people who I haven't seen Elise this morning, but Elise, you might be able to answer. Last night, I was listening, I was watching a program. I was watching a program last night, and I saw a comment. I said, Denise, you got to be able to answer me. Somebody say that a particular legal officer face look like October cabbage. The face look like, I never heard that before. That is what I mean, man. If somebody tell you that your face look like October cabbage, what really they mean? So let me know. CC, do you know?
No, 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 no.
First time I hear the one.
Yeah.
But I bust out laughing. People can believe that they're crazy. But person commented that his body face look like October cabbage.
Never heard of one.
Lado, welcome, man. Welcome. Lado, welcome. Lado, welcome. Then he said now they don't secure the brand, they secure the oof. Sharkman, Omar, welcome, welcome, John, welcome. Yes, let's move on. Let's move on. We have this thing. We had it listed last week, but we didn't mention it. There was a report of this ambulance in Region 6 that was found with smuggled chicken. And apparently they said is the custom people chased this vehicle, the vehicle ran, and the vehicle then was abandoned. But word coming out is that the driver of the vehicle is someone with connection, man with political connection. As a matter of fact, my sources have said to me that the vehicle was lodged early in the night at New Amsterdam Hospital. And the system is there. The system is that in order for the vehicle to have been uplifted, somebody senior would have had to give the instruction. And the man, they say, who picked up the key, who uplifted the key, is someone of these temporary employees with political connection. And you ain't hearing anything more about that, but at least about what happened to him. Because in a matter like that, simple investigation, apart from those who might have been arrested at the scene, what happened to the man who uplifted this ambulance, CC?
As you mentioned, he was one of the 10 days worker, but they had an intellectual author, a big one, that in terms of the investigation, the police wasn't really totally involved. He was a man who had given quite a lot of support, as the case may be. But there was a very big one, bigger than him, an intellectual author at Kelvin there.
Oh, well, okay. Well, there's not, you can't doubt these things. In terms of the question asked, somebody said that when people tell you your face look like October cabbage, they mean that your face hard. And I don't know. So I say you mean that you're very ugly. I don't, as I said, I never heard this before. And somebody tell your face look like October cabbage, they are essentially telling you that you look bad. Well, I don't know that cabbage does look bad. I don't know that cabbages look bad. So I'm gonna accept the explanation though, because as I've said, it is something new to me. I never heard it. But again, that is where you have people with political attacking it now, but this ambulance again. It would seem that the people who are involved have connections. So that's something that is gonna be swept under this carpet, this no action carpet that we're talking about. And that is what is going on in the dear land of Guyana. That is what is going on. Now, the next thing that we also mentioned a few weeks ago, this incident where persons were charged with stealing gold, 1,000 ounces of gold that was in some house that was being repaired, and the men who were working there made off with it. I understand that several persons were arrested. Items which were bought with this gold money were seized and all of that. But they're very silent as to who is the owner of this of the gold, who's the real owner of the gold. CC, have you heard anything more than that?
I read in one of the papers where a person was charged, and they mentioned the name of a woman there, but that was the only mention of the person who was the owner. But then so many regulatory bodies should come into play. The GRA, the financial FIU, I think you should know the unit well, because when you didn't hand over the gun, they would transfer you to that unit. that GRA and all those portions should come into play, but nobody come into play just like that. And even I'm certain that the international bodies that are looking at money laundering so are looking out. So
Well,
maybe other things.
you made a very interesting point there. You made a very interesting point. Um, well, frankly, I more accept your explanation about the October cabbage. He's frankly saying that the October cabbage mean that your face rumple up. You get rumpled face. So I know cabbage outside can be rumpled. So maybe that is what they are talking about. Now let me you made an interesting point. And in a recent editorial in the Stabrook News addressed this issue of this gold, this mica gold. 4 ounces and 1,000 ounces, and they said the value was 400 million Guyana dollars. Imagine that. And Kaicho, Stabrook News, asked the question. It made the point that all of the agencies and regulators who would be expected to have some say in this matter have maintained stony silence. And they named some of the agencies: the Guyana Police Force, the Criminal Investigations Department, the Special Organized Crime Unit, the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Chamber of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Ministry of Finance, the Financial Investigation Unit, the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, the Ministry of Natural Resources, and of course, the Guyana Gold Board. All of these agencies, and you're hearing anything. You're hearing nothing, not a peep from them in respect to that. Because the suggestion is they went on to highlight some of the relevant laws, and they are suggesting that the hoarding of that large quantity of gold must have violated some of the laws, and they go on to they end it. Well, let me say this: you talk about perhaps money laundering and other illegal activities, and I looked at a news item coming out of Jamaica recently, where they say that this Jamaican billionaire drug boss has lost half of his assets to the government. They name him. So he's a former policeman and postal worker. Amassed $1 billion, a $1 billion portfolio, including more than 24 luxury homes and cars. No, the 24 luxury homes and cars, what was forfeited to the government. And they said the assets also include another 14 multi-million-dollar homes located all over Jamaica. Now, the interesting part of this editorial that Stabrook News wrote is what I'm going to read now. Now, let me quote them. They said, why silence prevails? Why silence prevails here? It is more than likely that the relevant regulatory agencies abroad have taken notice, and that is where the real sting may lie. So maybe the people who are looking, because when you look at the Jamaican incident that I just referenced, I understand it was the American authorities, DEA and them, that came in and or went in and influenced this seizure or the forfeiture of all these assets. So let's wait and see. Let's hope that you can stay quiet in Guyana, they can do all manner of things. But these things have international implications, and let's see what will happen. Cece?
And don't be surprised if charges are instituted, you might get null purse.
Well, that has been a trend now. The charges are instituted, and then they're gonna you hear that you must not continue with the charge. So this thing is of concern, and this should have national security implications. A person, 1,000 ounces. Let's think about this for a moment. A person who is portrayed as an ordinary person has stashed away 1,000 ounces of gold to the value of $2 million US dollars.
Yes.
400 million dollars stashed away in a home, and they portray that as some ordinary person. The question will be, I hope they're investigating, who is the real owner?
Yep.
Who is the real owner? Remember some years ago, I think it was 2015, a man who was a permanent secretary had a bank account in Guyana with over 10 billion Guyana dollars. He was a permanent secretary of the office of the president. He had a bank.
He had a businessman.
Yeah, his man said when he was questioned, I understand, he said his phone card business. He had phone card business, and he was able to accumulate 10 billion Guyana dollars in a bank account. I understand that based on what was carried in the media, is the bank alerted the authorities because the bank, with this anti-money laundering stuff, they see this big account and they actually put a freeze on the account, and then they initiated the investigation. But you're right, because when you talk about the FIU, when in 2001, the 2003 rather 2004, after the 2003 incident, 2004, when the then government tried to get me out of the force, they decided that I should go and head the financial investigation unit, even though that unit had been passed by law in parliament and it wasn't operational. But I got a letter from it come through Dr. Luncheon to the commissioner, through to Mr. Green, to me, to say that I go in, I think on the 5th of April 2004 or something like that. That is why they were chasing me out of the force. And after that, I think Mr. Gear took over, and I think now is Mr. Langevine or something. Yeah, but I was to go another unit. When I used to, Mr. Gear is my friend, Paul Gear. Whenever I saw him, I used to tell him, hey, you get my work in. What is the work that I refused and the work that you took? So let's see where that will go. It's part again of the corrupt process in this land. The corrupt process in this land. I'm talking about corruption. Yesterday, there was a news item that president, the same man that Sue made allegations against. You remember the Sue allegation people tend to forget? He went to Region 2 to give grants, financial grants to fisher folks. That's what the news item said. And the news item said that he was telling the fisher folks that the government will not take blame for fake fisher folks drying down these grants. Imagine that. You are going to give grants to fisher folks, and you are telling the fisher folks, hey, we are responsible if people who are not legit. You are the ones who should point out these people to us. What madness is this? What madness is this, CC? Help me out here, man.
Why, nothing but transparency, accountability. Understand they got the other department overseeing. But little do they know that the corruption is there. I make out the thing, tell you, hey, 100,000 for you, 50,000 for me. I give the envelope mark 100,000, mark 150,000. Is only 100,000 inside there. I collecting my own thing, and if you're going to give out money, you must know exactly who you giving money to, and are those persons qualified to receive the money? Too much and endless corruption, Mike. 100 for you, 50 for me.
Yeah, but the whole story is that if you're going to go to give a grant, there's nothing wrong with giving grants. But you're talking about $150,000, and I think the agriculture minister quote a figure of 700 and something persons. So it's over 100 million Guyana dollars you're talking about. You want to tell me that before you get there, you did not compile a list and verify that these people are bona fide fishermen? You're going to go there to deliver and tell the people who are there that, hey, you have a responsibility to point out the people who are not genuine fishermen. Them people are neighbors. Them people live in the same village. You believe that a man will tell them, hey, look, this one is not a real fisherman. And again, how do you know? How do you measure? What is the criteria to determine who's a real fisherman? Is it the man who owns the boat? Is it the persons who work on the thing? Is it a man who reselling fish, retailing fish? All of these things should be worked out before you go there, so you know that you're going. And this is the number. The agricultural minister did give a number, 703 or something like that, he said. So how did you arrive at that number? And therefore, how are you going to go there to tell people that you are the ones who should point out who are not genuine? How did you arrive at the number of fisher folks in that area? And how then can you be telling persons that, look, they are the ones who should point out the people who are not genuine. Corruption, lack of transparency, lack of proper accountability. And the thing is, we money,
Yeah.
we money, it's taxpayers' money, it's we money, it's we money. So we must make nice. Too many people sit quietly and allow these things to slip by. I will not. We will not. We will not. We are saying that if you're going to be giving out money, I am going into the part as to whether it is justified or not. I guess everybody need money in the hard times that you're facing. That's how the police, they need beef, and the police decide they're going to get beef in a particular way. People need money too. Things tight. Things tight. People need money. But you have to have a proper process. The same allegations were made when all of those grants, flood grant and COVID grant, you make the same allegation, and apparently nothing is done to make sure that this thing is improved. Because once you are going to go and you're going to give out cash, that is a red flag. Once you go and you're giving people cash, as you rightly say, this is what is said in the envelope. Oh, you understand this, buddy. Understand this. That if I am there and I go to get $150,000, and a man gave me 100,000 instead of the 150 that was mentioned. When I check and I see 100, and I say, boss man, it's only 100, and the man say, well, look, don't matter, you go with that. You think you're gonna make any nice? You're glad to get the 100,000 because if you make nice, you believe they're gonna take back everything. So you're glad to get and this is not conspiracy. This is not being a conspiracy theorist. This has been real. This has been practical, and that is why we say that when you have these things to done, you must be very, very transparent. You see?
Be careful, because just now the minister might ask you to come up with the evidence, So be careful. But then again, going back to the beef story, if I digress a bit, police want beef, just like how I think a couple of years ago, police had wanted liquor for the old age night party, So
No. They didn't want the master. The man is cessor. But the police had clearly indicated that they had nothing to do with this liquor that came from Suriname. They had nothing to do with it. All the claim man told the people them at the roadblock when he was stopped that he was bringing all this stuff. Johnny Walker whiskey for the police party. So that is what is going on. That is what is going on. And here, let me say this clearly. They had the CCJ ruling this morning. I ain't dealing with the politics of that. Even though as all Guyanese, you should follow what is going on. I am dealing with the last part. The last part, where they talk about ethics. Let me say this publicly and to all of them. When you come to some people in Guyana, especially some people in government and the police hierarchy and so on, there's nothing like ethics and professionalism. Those words do not exist for them. So the leaking, or not leaking, the publicizing, the premature publicizing of this ruling is not something to be that was unexpected. Because these people know about ethics. I know that I saw Mr. Peter Selwyn wrote something about what obtains in Canada. People are made to sign. People are made to sign and for confidentiality. But there's nothing like that. We recall our experience with the police promotion in 2020, December. On December the 23rd, we created a confidential shortlist. And Amar was able to say in a sworn affidavit that the police promotion shortlist was leaked to him by a confidential source at the Police Service Commission. The man said so in an affidavit. And the very night of the 23rd, the president called me and bucking me up for not including certain persons. So let's talk about ethics and professionalism and about. See?
That's true, Paul. And certain persons have developed a reputation to be unethical. And maybe confidentiality only exists in the Phantom RAS report. Maybe that's
yes, that is said to be confidential. They said the RSS or RASS report is confidential. So confidentiality is limited to those things, limited to those things. Confidentiality is limited to that. Yes, Selwyn, I listened to you this morning passionately speaking about that unethical behavior by either the AG or the chambers of the AG. But let me say this clearly. When we talking about accountability, I hear the dancing and the suggesting it might be the chambers and not the AG himself. You in charge. When you're in charge, whatever takes place in your area, you can't divorce yourself from that. You are the person in charge, because I'm sure that email would not have been sent to the chambers. The email would have been directed to the Attorney General, the Council himself, right? So again, I say that this thing about ethics and so on, and is foreign to a lot of people. It's a foreign, and again, and when I looked at the page didn't say. I'm not talking about the page where the thing was prematurely released. I looked at it this morning. It didn't say it's a page of the Attorney General's chambers. He said it didn't say it's a page of the Attorney General. They list him there by name. It is page. Well, I have had personal experience with this unethical and unprofessional behavior, so I can talk about it. Right? Somebody is asking what is the decision. I'm sure if you check social media, you're gonna see it there, right? I'm sure that if you check social media, you're gonna see it there. As I say, I haven't read it. I listen, and basically what they're saying is that the petition 99 can't go away any further, because the Chief Justice was correct in throwing it out, and that the appeal court had no jurisdiction to hear that. That is what I gather. I don't know lie, but from the listening that I listened this, from the little that I heard this morning, that is what I gathered. CC, anything?
Yeah, I listen to the same thing, and I am of the same view with you. But so many things happening, and I always have to refer to the last promotion in the police force, that where on the 4th of July, the bishop, who's supposed to be a man of God, was interviewed, and he made it clear that he was waiting on the list, recommended list of promotion from the commission on the 1st of July, and on the 2nd, 250 something persons were promoted. That is why they promoted persons who left the work. That is why they promoted persons with disparate matters. That is why they promoted persons who have disparate matter spending. That's why they promoted persons who did not write the promotion exam. That's why they had endless supersession. One inspector jumped 80 persons and became a superintendent. That there was no due diligence. Today I ain't get a list, but tomorrow I promoted 250 something persons. Ungodly.
Unethical and ungodly, and your one correction is not 80 persons. They might jump like about 280 something persons.
Okay.
About 280 something persons. I checked it, and and I gotta apologize to a few people who have been asking me to comment on the same promotion in respect of seniority and so on. I have the information, but time always catching up with us, and I promise that I will do so next week. But we're talking about these things. Let me see. Oh yeah, that I'm hearing here that one judge said that the appeal should have been filed at the full court rather than the appeal court. So the appeal or the challenge to it was void. Basically, that is what I am getting here from someone. But I'm sure the people, the lawyers, and them will analyze the decision, and we're going to hear exactly what it is all about. We're going to hear what it's all about. And then we have this thing, we're talking about Diana and how the law is applied differently. We talk about the man with the ambulance. Nothing really. Now, I saw recently over the weekend an allegation made against one of the Rogers, who is a known PPP supporter and activist. The tape that I saw caused my blood to boil, because trust me, if I had been in the area and I had seen this assault on this young lady. I don't know the person. I ain't got to know she. I would have intervened. I would have intervened, and I believe little blows would have passed. Because I can't see the type of advantage. The big strapping man boxing up this lady. I understand the story. He had some altercation with him going into some freezer and so on. And when he was spoken to, he decided that he gonna attack the woman. We all saw that. Is there, the tape is there circulating. And what is worrying, the lady said that she went to the police station, I think Fort Wellington, and she made a report. The police at Fort Wellington were treating her as not as a victim, but as if she was wrong. She told them about being assaulted by this same man with a firearm. Apparently, the man is a license. Well, can't say license. He had a firearm. I don't know if it's licensed or unlicensed. And he struck her with the firearm. He struck her with the firearm, and she made the report. And perhaps not surprising, a few days after Monday or Tuesday, you're hearing that the man already traveled from Guyana, and the man is in the United States. The man was emceeing some function related to Diwali. So again, I said not surprising. But the man who assaulted this person, the report is made at the police. He's alleged to have used a gun. Did they check to see if he had a firearm indeed? And if so, what did they do? You see, tell these police what is police action in these matters, man.
Oh, first thing they had to check with him and see if he got a gun, a physical check. If not, at his home, execute a warrant. Seize the gun if you think that, and they're treating the woman as she's the accused when she's a victim. That you don't make joke with gun story. Allegation of use a gun. If you're a licensed firearm, you seize the gun until the investigation is completed, until the matter is brought to finality. But perhaps Paul Lemosy realize what happened to you a couple of years ago. The same West Coast Bobbies when you seize a gun, when they had a horse, so they must won't fall in the trap. But the thing is that this gun is serious business, and you need to properly investigate. And the initial thing is to seize the weapon, or if he doesn't have it on him, that you need to execute warrant on his home and make sure that sometimes he's detained for a while. You know that he's going to travel. So you make proper thing to ensure that he does not travel, that he stay to face the justice. But this is Guyana, we say.
Well, and the whole thing is that the sad part about the police action is that a report is made that a man used a gun to assault this woman. The gun becomes a material part of the whole incident, and it would have been routine to say to seize the gun, and you might even want to get the gun examined to see if there is evidence, because she said he struck her, might get follicles and all that type of, and they're gone. But I don't understand what type of investigation these police are doing. And the thing is, it's certain people, when certain people make a report, it is dealt with differently to when others. So you have, as we said, all animals, according to George Orwell, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And you would note that this same man get previous. This man get previous because it is reported that some time ago, around 2013, he assaulted a 13-year-old female. Imagine that. Let me repeat that. It is alleged that this same man assaulted a 13-year-old female. And why? Because she was speaking to a 15-year-old male with whom he had some, he had known, some male, let me put it this way, that he had known. Perhaps he had some entanglement. I don't know. But he went to court. I think he was charged, and they said he was remanded on that matter. But I don't know what is the outcome. Perhaps the journalist, and again, I say people don't follow up these issues. So we heard that a man had a previous assaulted 13-year-old, big, strong, strapping, well, a sane man. But nowadays you can't, especially in the United States, and these people tell you this gender thing. They get this saying now that gender, when you're born, your gender is not determined when you're born. I know that. That's what they're saying. Then he said, don't tell me anything about it. They say that gender is determined later. You got to determine whether you're a man or whether you're a woman later. So I don't know what is the true gender. I don't know what is the true gender. But here it is. A man assaults this woman. A man with previous, I must add, assault this woman. And apparently the man just jumped on a plane and gone. Poor Dion Bascom. Dion Bascom is alleged to have caused embarrassment, emotional distress to people, Caesar and Chabilal Singh. He is charged and placed before the court under the cybercrime law, and he had to lodge his passport with the police or with the court, put on a whole set of bail, and this man used a gun, assaults a woman, and the gun enlarged as part of the investigation and the thing, and the man jumps on a plane within 48 hours, I would think, and the man is out of the country. When are they going to issue a wanted bulletin for him, similar to how they did to Rickford Bork? I wonder if they will do likewise. And again, I say the law is applied selectively. The law is applied selectively. CC, do you think they're going to ever issue a wanted bulletin for Ozzy Rogers in connection with this investigation?
Like you, Paul, I study animal farm for GC, All men are equal, but some are more equal than others, So, but even going back to the gun, Paul, sometimes what we do too, apart from the assault, we do some ballistics tests because the gun may have been involved in robberies and other issues, So, but that one is, no wanted bulletin for him.
My mic was on mute there for a while. Now, but now that we talk, let's see what will happen. But again, these things have to be kept in the public domain. These things have to be kept in the public domain. Bring some pressure to bear. And talking about the Orin Bascom matter there, I learned that he went to court yesterday, I think it was. The last time he appeared before Justice Daly, not Justice Magistrate Daly, they had this big furor with the prosecutor, Mr. Moore, and he failed to produce the video as requested or as directed by the magistrate. He was remanded, even though they said, well, no, and they danced with it. And the DPP wrote to the the chancellor, we understand, asking for the magistrate to be replaced. I haven't heard any response from the chancellor, the acting chancellor. But the latest I understand is that yesterday, when they appeared in court, the magistrate decided to do what she considered the decent thing. We have ethical people in the system. So the magistrate decided that she was going to recuse herself from the matter. And the matter then went to the chief magistrate, Miss Anne McLennan. And I understand that based on the reporting, Miss Anne McLennan directed the magistrate, Miss Daly, that she must continue the matter. She saw no reason why, there's the chief magistrate, saw no reason why the magistrate must recuse herself from the matter. So we're waiting. I understand that the matter was put off now to, I think, January, sometime in January. The matter was put off for sometime in January. Well, let's hear what's going on, because in the same matter too, there was an article in some one of the online news that the lawyer for Bascom, Mr. Hughes, was lamenting the fact that the Protective Disclosure Act has not been given any effect, because here it is, Bascom, who can be considered by any measure as a whistleblower. The Protective Disclosure Act is what we call the Whistleblowing Act. By any measure, he's a whistleblower. And when his attorney asks for the provisions of the Whistleblower Act to be applied, the people refuse. The president refused to grant him protection. The minister refused to make the RAS report available. And more than that, they proceeded to charge him for Cybercrime Act in relation to the same matter. Two persons decided that they're going to sue him bring lawsuit against him, one for 200 million and one for 50 million, respect to the same matter. When the cybercrime, the Protective Disclosure Act says that should not happen. It says it should not happen. So again, it's not a real place. I'm talking about the lawsuit and so on that is filed. Again, we say some months ago, after the Vice News the expose, I must say, we understand that the Vice President filed a 50 million lawsuit against Sue Girong. Now here again, for context, Sue Girong claiming that the Vice President taking bribe. He's making this allegation that the Vice President taking bribe to get contract and all of that. The Vice President sues for 50 million. Bascom make allegation about cover-up of murder and bribery on the part of police officers at CID. A police officer he didn't at CID. He is sued for 200 million by the businessman and 50 million by the employee of the businessman. So something got around 200 million, 50 million, and the Vice President only suing for 50. I thought that if he would have sued for 50 billion, I thought he would have sued. And the next thing about that, CC, I get lawsuit. I get people file lawsuits against me. So I think I'm fairly familiar with the initial stage. Now, when this thing is to be solved, when they apply to court for the whatever documentation, they put a time limit on it. They say it must be served within this particular time. If it then served in that time, I think you got to go back to the court to get it refreshed, so to speak. So the question is whether the time limit to serve that document on Sue Girong has expired, and if so, whether they have gone back to get it refreshed. SEC?
Well, did they find him? I don't know.
Well, there's a case, unless you find him and solve it, it does have no effect. Unless you find Sue Girong and serve it on him, it has no effect. And the service has to be in person.
Yeah.
The service has to be in person. And let me say this again from experience. Normally they taught us proof of service as a police, that things like warrant, and so on. You serve it on the person in person, or you leave it as his last known place of address with some person of a particular age. Now, in 2010, when I retired, the then Attorney General Charles Ramsden sued me. This is not known to many. He sued me, claiming that at my retirement parade, I made some speech. I made some remarks about a matter that was before the court. So he sued me. Now, shortly after I retired, shortly after I went on pre-retirement leave, I traveled to the United States. And the court marshal went to my residence in Guyana, and they left the document with my sister. And I told my sister to take it to Mr. Rex McKay. She took it to Mr. Rex McKay, and Mr. Rex McKay successfully argued in court that the matter was not properly served. That such a document had to be served on me personally. So unless they fung sue to serve it on him personally, and he's the marshals of the Supreme Court, they ain't going nowhere. There's just a big bluff that they solve the thing. So we understand it clearly. Let's understand this clearly. And we made the point about my retirement parade in 2010. And CC, you and I made an observation that in recent times, senior officers are sneaking out of the police force. They are sneaking out of the police force. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, Paul. And it started from my knowledge since Leslie James proceeded on pre-retirement leave. No parade, no speech, no handing over. No symbolic handing over of the baton to Happy. Happy proceeded on leave. Nothing so far. We had some commanders in Borbis, Ramlakan, Passad. We had a recent traffic chief. All gone. No speeches, no parade, no nothing. Sometimes you used to look forward to hear those persons, to listen to words of wisdom so that they can inspire youngsters, about the challenges they face and things that they can do to climb to the top. Nothing is being done. You just hear him by the way that this man gone on pre-retirement leave. Perhaps maybe they're afraid that those persons might talk things that they don't want to hear, or are those persons not competent enough to address the youngsters and address other members of the force? It's ridiculous, Paul. And when we breaking from tradition, all sort of things will happen to the police force. Men going off, senior men who give excellent service in the Ghana police force, not a parade, not a ceremony so that the public could learn and that those below them could be inspired to do good things.
Yeah, well, you said it, maybe they are afraid of the Joe Braz. I don't know if you remember, like before my time.
I remember Joe Braz.
Well, Joe Braz was said that at his farewell, someplace in Brickdam, he made some comments. He said that if he had served his God the way he served the Ghana police force, he would have been assured that he would be singing with the angels in heaven. He made something to that remark, which the authorities at the time found to be objectionable. And they also to sanction it. And then they said that when Joe Brass replied, he apologized and he said he was at this function and the drinks flowed. He used some fancy description.
No, I remember the description. Liquor flowed freely and I imbibed.
Yeah, he said liquor flowed freely.
Statement, yeah.
Something to the effect. Liquor flowed freely and he imbibed, and therefore he apologized and that. But you're saying it, look, the protocol was that on your last working day, you have this farewell parade, and if you opted not to have, the parade at the TSU Square, or if you're in the division at a named location, then at least a cocktail function would be held where speeches would be made, you are thanked for your service, and you give them a little token and that type of thing. Those things were the tradition. But as you have rightly said, senior officers in recent times, Mr. James, Mr. Appy, and don't say that they, in case of Mr. Appy is not off, because as I've said before, this is normally done on your last working day. Your last working day. So he had his last working day already. He might be on pre-retirement leave. He doesn't come off until the 1st of January. That is done. You had two commanders of Borbis, Ramlakan, Jairaj Ramlakan. I think he came off since January this year. And more recently, Bolanat Passad. Off, not a peak. They're sneaking out. Then you had the traffic chief, Ramesh Ashram. And then you had the second man in A Division traffic, Timothy Williams. He's off too. You had Grace Davis from the branch. Gone. You had Audrey Small, gone. Senior officers, they were superintendents. So that's what's going on. They're glad to leave. I know what is happening, These people just glad to sever relationship with the police force, that they want no party to come and be hypocritical and tell them how they do good and they do that, knowing full well that they weren't treated properly. So the people glad to just ease the way and go on, and therefore you can't blame them. I would not blame them, SEC.
Yeah, and I remember Audrey Small, she was traffic OC at Brickdam, and 5 days before she was due to proceed on pre-retirement leave, a sudden admin man wrote her, call her and tell her he's going to make her life miserable, and he transferred her to training school. And as usual, what she did, she went in a wicket, got 5 days sick leave, and proceeded on her pre-retirement leave.
She did what any good old police will do. And in case we have people here, civilians who don't know, when Mr. Conway said we went into the wicket, he ain't talking about cricket like the West Indies, When you say gone into the wicket, is that you report sick. This is also, police will also tell you jam. When police say a jam, same thing, they report sick. So Audrey did the correct thing. You get 5 days or so before you go into retirement leave, and somebody harassing you, tell you about transfer. Just go in the wicket and get your 5 days and then go straight into your leave and gone. So you could understand why she too would not have wanted anything to do with them. Glad to come out the job, man. Glad to get and be as far from these people as possible. CC, any closing remark?
I think we have said enough so far, Paul, and next week we'll raise more issues.
Well, I actually had a few more things listed, but the time run out, and I'm gonna keep people much longer. But next week, as I said, there's this issue with the last promotion and seniority and all of that. I am going to address it. It's about 4 weeks or longer now. I am going to address it. So thank you very much, CC. Stay good, and we will continue to talk.
Okay, I hope that Friday morning you will be smiling. West Indies while.
Oh, well, let's hope. Well, let me hope so. Let's hope that we all have something to smile Friday morning when West Indies beat Ireland and gone into the final 12, right? So let's hope for that. Thanks, CC.
Okay, Paul. Always a pleasure.
Now, folks, let me say this. I got first of all, I don't know if Tasha is on the live, but Tasha, belated morning greetings to you. Belated, whether you're on the live or you will look at the program later, belated birthday greetings to you. I also want to say to one of the regular listeners who reached out to me last evening in connection with some issues. I did not respond last night, but my intention was to respond this morning, but I saw this morning the messages were removed. But I want to say to you, because I did read a part of it, not the entire thing. I did read a part. Don't lose faith. Don't lose faith. You did say that you have 2 children. You have to consider your children. I know you sound very, very dejected and despondent about all the perceived injustices that are done to you. But my dear, don't lose faith. Stay strong for your children. Have faith and stay strong. The people would say that the good Lord would not give you more than you can bear, would never ever give you more that you can bear. But I intended to reply. I intended, but I could not have replied last night. I had some things that were going on. I didn't want to give you any wishy-washy stuff. So just stay strong and don't lose faith. Because from the tone of the message you sent to me last evening, I got the impression that you might be very, very despondent, very, very dejected. I could understand. You have a family to maintain. You can't get a job and all of that. But don't lose faith, my sister. Don't lose faith. Stay strong. Now, I want to also remind us about the health issues that I would normally do. COVID is still here. And therefore, take your precautions. They're reporting, I think the last thing I saw a few days ago, 9 cases, which is low. But it is still around. And once it is still around, if you drop your guard, then we're likely to start to suffer more severely again. So please, 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 my fellows, stay safe for yourself, your family, and friends. And God's willing, next Wednesday at 11, remember the time is 11, next Wednesday at 11, we'll be here again on another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. Before I go, however, let me again invite you. You can see it scrolling at the bottom of the page to share the live, not share at this stage, but to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so that it's becoming more and more popular. But the more you subscribe, is the more popular the program becomes. Every day, every program day, we getting new persons joining us. And when you look at the comments, when you look at YouTube, people are there. So please, please encourage people to subscribe. It gives you the opportunity to view at your own time, because we know 11 o'clock in the day might not be convenient to everyone. But once you're there, go to YouTube, look at all the other episodes that are there, and you can watch at your own time. You watch in your own time. So once again, thanks for your viewership. And next week, Wednesday at 11, we'll be here in another episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption and Incompetence. For now, bye.